Boom Chanka, how's it going, everybody? It's the Flying Pig here on Flying Pig United. Hope you're all having a good one today. It gives me great pleasure to say I'm joined by Alex Rincon here from the North Texan Reds and also John Shin, the man, the myth, the legend himself. How are you doing, fellas? You all good today?
Yeah, doing good.
Great. Let's get it.
Awesome. Well, yeah, we just got these two legends on here today to chat a little bit about United. I mean, let's just kind of get straight into it then, fellas. Like the big news that seems to be circulating around the globe at the moment is that Lionel Messi has announced, or he's informed Barcelona that he wants to leave them this summer. There's a bunch of potential suitors that are maybe looking to go and get Lionel Messi on what could be a free transfer. There's some speculation about the clause in his contract and all this sort of stuff, so that remains to be seen. But is that just an absolutely ridiculous idea, or I just want to throw it over to you guys straight away and see, is that preposterous? Is it ridiculous to think that Manchester United could sign Lionel Messi? I'm just going to put it over to you. I'll go with you first, Alex, if you want to jump in.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I believe the Messi links, to be honest. I think it's just another example of United being linked with a star player just to drive clicks, interest, buzz around the situation. I was actually just reading before we got online that The Guardian is reporting that we're not interested at all. And I personally don't believe we are. It hurts to say, but I think he's probably going to City if he does leave. But we'll see. Football's crazy and things change constantly. So.
Yeah, I know Pep Guardiola, that old connection there. Baldy's going to get him, isn't he? It's to be fair, if he's going to come to the Premier League, yeah, you would expect that, because also City, they can afford him, can't they? That's the thing. They would spend that money. It actually probably increased their brand by about 10 times as well. Because who cares about Manchester City, really? But if Messi was playing for them, crikey, what would that do to their football club? It's like when Ronaldo went to Juventus, they had a boost globally, economically. I mean, John, would you like to see it? Do you think it's possible? Should we just forget about it?
Look, I don't want to get clipped up here and make some ridiculous statement, but I want to start off by saying that 2020 has been absolutely hitting us with left jab punches, whatever you want to call curveballs, you name it. Every single analogy in the book, 2020 has been filled with wild takes. So you never know, honestly. If this was a normal year, we'd all still say, hey, you never know. And that would just be, bull crap. But this time, it's actually you never know, because you don't know what 2020 is going to bring us. However, with that being said, just to supplement what Alex has said, I don't see that happening. As much as I'd love to see it, Messi being an Adidas superstar, an Adidas market icon, coming to a team as globally branded as Manchester United just makes sense, just on a commercial scale, right? Manchester United obviously still needing a marquee signing, and somebody like Messi, who isn't just your average world-class player. I mean, this is Lionel Messi you're talking about. Yes, granted, he's kind of come down a little bit from his prime of primes, but that's Messi's prime we're talking about. And for us to be, even gracing his current status, it would be an absolute dream. However, that, like you mentioned, is very, very unlikely, given the fact that his connections to Guardiola and the board at Manchester City is way too strong. And if he were to even leave Barcelona, he'd probably head to the blue side of Manchester. Would be an absolute travesty, but that is what it is in terms of reality.
Yeah, nice one, John. Yeah, I feel exactly the same way, my friend. I mean, I think it would be fantastic to see him in the Premier League, regardless in a way, but just not for Manchester City. But if that's the club that's the most realistic, unfortunately. To be honest, Manchester United is in the conversation. Like, there's only a handful of clubs around the world that could even really be a potential suitor for a player like Lionel Messi, with what he's got, with what he brings to the table, his brand, and also just the amount of money that he commands. I think he's on at least £500,000 a week over there at Barcelona at the moment. So, it's only the top echelon clubs that are even going to be considering Lionel Messi to come into their side. But yeah, I mean, I'm staying kind of optimistic and positive. I'm sort of think, it kind of sounds like an Ed Woodward signing. Do you know what I mean? We could not going to get Sancho. Just throw all our eggs in the Lionel Messi basket right here. Get him on £1 million a week. Sounds like the sort of thing Ed Woodward might do. Probably not though, because the Glazers they don't like spending money, do they?
But I'm sure, given the Glazers' lack of football knowledge, I'm sure they might have heard Lionel Messi. I mean, even LeBron James was being interviewed by his kid a few months ago, and he was like, "Lionel Messi, yeah, I know him." Like, I'm sure they've heard of Messi, so maybe it might be different. Who knows? Like, regardless of whether or not Messi fits the footballing philosophy at Manchester United, whether or not Messi fits the structure, the system, the wage bill. If it's for the sake of the brand and if it's sake for the global market, it might be a more enticing investment opportunity for the Glazers. Who knows? And that's exactly my point is we don't know these clowns as much as they don't know themselves in terms of their status at Manchester United. So this can go left, right, center, up, down. Nobody knows.
Absolutely, John. We don't even know what the player wants. I mean, he probably wouldn't like the prospect of coming up in the Premier League up against, players like Victor Lindelof and Phil Jones and these guys. And also, would he really want the competition from the likes of Lingard in the side? That's the thoughts I've got. But no, we need him more than anybody. But yeah, I mean. Sancho makes a lot more sense, doesn't he, than at this moment in time to go and get and invest. And plus, Messi is 33. Like, okay, he's a special player. He's one of the world's absolute best ever. I don't really see him slowing down to the point where he's going to be anything less than very inspirational anytime soon. So yeah, I mean, would you even want him based on his age, guys?
Yeah, I mean, I would take him if we compare what Ronaldo has done at Juventus this season. I mean, I've seen people on the internet this season say Ronaldo's had a bad season. I just don't buy that. Didn't he score something like 35 goals this season? And I've also seen comments on the internet, people saying, like, I don't know if Messi could handle the Premier League. Even if that is true, I think if Messi even had a bad season with City, he would still probably score like 20 to 30 goals. So, yeah, I mean, it's sickening. I don't want to see him go to City. The truth is, though, and I don't know if you guys remember this, but I've been seeing for like the last 5 or 6 years articles coming out saying if Messi were to leave, where could or would he go? And everyone for the last 5 or 6 years has planted and seeded this idea of he might go to City. He might go to City. And I mean, I remember reading this stuff years ago. So does it make sense that he goes to City? Probably. Because like you said, Pep Guardiola's there and they have some of the backroom staff there that was with Guardiola when he was at Barcelona. Yeah, it's sickening. It makes sense for him to go to City if he does leave. But we'll see. Like John said, football changes and this has been a really crazy year. So we'll see. I mean, it's also possible that he stays too. I mean, I remember a few years ago when he quit the Argentina national team after the Copa America only to come back a few years later, or a few months later rather. So it could be just an emotional reaction where the 8-2 defeat was so mentally hard for him that he was like, you know what, I quit. But
you're right. He throws his toys out the pram, dude, doesn't he? Occasionally, like he does have a little bit of a tantrum every now and then. But of course, he is the most special player in the world, and he's Barcelona through and through. So it wouldn't surprise. I still think the most likely outcome of this transfer window is that he remains at Barcelona. Like I still think that is the most likely outcome, and he remains a one club man until the end. If he doesn't end up in the Premier League, though, guys, I'll just ask you, John. Like, is there any way you think else that he could potentially go? I mean, there's some meme going around today saying, imagine seeing Ronaldo, imagine seeing Messi in the same team over at Juventus. I mean, how's that for a prospect?
That again, like I mentioned, the chances of anything happening is all up in the air this year. But with the chances of, for instance, like you mentioned, the chances of Messi going to join Ronaldo would be very, very unlikely. Not because of the two characters, but just in terms of the wage structure, in terms of the deal involved. It would be insane to have both on their wage bill. It just wouldn't work. But I think obviously because Messi, unlike Ronaldo, has been a one club man. So just to have Messi in the same sentence as transfer is already new uncharted territory for all of us. And that's what makes it more exciting. And that's what makes it more edgy. However, with that being said, I think from Messi's perspective, this is all about Messi and Barcelona. him leaving Barcelona isn't to go and chase more trophies or chase more money. He's done that. He's won trophies. He's got money. He can retire right now and live large and live lavishly. His point in leaving Barcelona would be to send the message to Barcelona saying that we need to make changes. I'm Messi. I'm the one club man at Barcelona who's brought you all this success. And yet we have a leader like Bartomeu and team people like this who's completely driven the club to the ground. Messi leaving would hold more significance to Barcelona than to this new team that he's going to. However, just to wrap it up, I would definitely like to see him in somewhere like, in the Premier League, but I could also see him going to Serie A. Serie A is almost like a cult classic that we'd all love to see. Who knows? Maybe he might join Napoli. Who knows? You never know. Maybe Inter's been one of those names that that's been floating in the air. I don't know if I necessarily see him at PSG in Ligue 1, but it'd be nice to see him in more of the cult classics like Serie A or the Premier League.
That's it. Yeah, I mean that's it. If we are going to see him in another league, I'd much rather it was not the Premier League, unless it's going to be at Manchester United, obviously.
For sure.
To see him in to see him in the Premier League would be very interesting. Actually, look at this comment here from JW92. He says, "Would the Premier League be too fast paced for him? A lot more physical than La Liga. I see him going to Juventus as a possibility." So that's the big question, isn't it? People have always said, "Oh, can he do it on a cold, wet, windy night in Stoke or whatnot?" And people have always said these things. And going to Serie A, going to League One, yeah, okay, you're doing it in another country, you're doing it for another club, but there's always that comparison being made with Cristiano Ronaldo, whether it's on an international stage or club merits and things like that. And Ronaldo has done it everywhere, including the two best leagues in the world, in my opinion, the Premier League and La Liga. So it's like a legacy. It's a legacy point now, I think, for Lionel Messi, this signing. It's, like you said, John, it's also about maybe forcing that change at Barcelona, but also for him personally as an individual, yeah, sure, maybe you'd love to stay at Barca forever, but just to have that legend, that legacy to go elsewhere, say come to the Premier League, score 30 goals in the season, win the championship with whichever team he goes to, hopefully not City, and then and then have that sort of accolade. I think he's chasing a little bit of legend as well at the moment. What do you guys reckon? What do you think, Alex?
Yeah, I agree. I think it was mentioned earlier by John Shin that he wants to win. He's already made the money that he wants to make, and I don't really think that's really a factor. I do think Messi will decide where Messi goes. I'm just not sure. Like he said, it's 2020. Anything could happen. City seems very realistic. In my opinion, there's only 3 clubs in the world that could afford him. One of them is us. The other 2 are City and PSG. So unless he's like willing to take a massive wage cut to go somewhere else like Inter or Napoli or somewhere like that, I would only really see him going to those clubs. As far as us, I don't see us shelling out the money for him. I think we just got out of a really terrible wage structure and we're still climbing out of it, and bringing someone like Messi in on 900,000 euros a week would upset that balance again and just put us back at square one. It's unfortunate, but yeah, hopefully he stays at Barcelona because I don't want him in the Premier League killing it for City. But
such a good point, Alex. The wage structure thing, like you said, I mean, look, like Sanchez was on 500k a week or somewhere near that. It would completely disrupt everything, wouldn't it? I think that was a large reason why Herrera ended up at PSG, because there just was that big disparity in the side there, and you can understand it from everybody's point of view. And if you bring Messi in, everybody's going to be, I would imagine, to be honest, the players at Manchester United, if Lionel Messi walked into the dressing room, I think they'd all just embrace that, even if he was on £1 bajillion a week, because he's just Lionel Messi, isn't he? So in one way, no, but in a couple of years' time, who knows, Anyway, it's kind of pointless talking about it, isn't it? He's not going to end up at United. Let's just say that right now. Like, okay, we're talking about it because, it's news, but he's not going to freaking end up at United.
No, I don't think he'll come.
No, I know. But I just want to say, everybody, thank you so much for tuning into this live stream today. Get your thoughts and comments in the comment section. Do us all a favor as well and smash that like button. If you're just joining us, we're joined by a couple of legends of the channel here. We've got Alex Rincon, and we've also got John Shin from the, he does bits all over YouTube, to be fair, whether it's for Stretford Paddock or his own channel, John Shin. So we all know about John Shin on this channel. We love John Shin. So thank you guys for joining us anyway. There's a lot of people in the comment section here that are saying, Griffo Chaz being one of them, that we should be looking at Jadon Sancho, getting the Jadon Sancho deal done. Never mind this Messi business. If he ends up with Baldy Pep at City, so be it. Get Jadon Sancho. He's the right age. He fits the mold. And in terms of the money you would pay him, I mean, sure, the amount of money to get him initially off of Dortmund is a heck of a lot of money, but it's not Lionel Messi 900k, 600k a week or whatever it would be money, is it? So yeah, Jadon Sancho. I mean, just get the deal done is my message really to Woodward and the Glazers. Now we all know that it's been dragged out for a very long time, and it probably will go on to the end of the season. But there's some talk about it at the moment that it's actually dead in the water. What do you guys think?
Look, I mean, Jadon Sancho that's the signing we should be pushing all cylinders. We should be firing on all cylinders to get that deal done. The Messi, like you mentioned, Joe, Mr. Flat Pig. I remember you don't want me to use a real name, so I gotta be careful here.
You can say Joe. That's fine.
But
call me Mister. Call me Mister.
All right, Mister. Sir, can I have some more? The whole thing with Messi is all exciting news, like you mentioned, but it's very unlikely. What Ed Woodward and the board and the Manchester United should be focused on is the Jadon Sancho move. A Messi signing would have been kind of similar in the same echelons as the Zlatan signing, right? Obviously, Messi is like in this whole godly realm, but what Zlatan brought to Manchester United was this wave of swagger, this arrogance that we've so been lacking since Sir Alex retired. And Zlatan coming with Jose kind of sealed that deal for us. Jadon Sancho is not that signing. Jadon Sancho is now we're supposed to be in that next stage where we're preparing for the next 5 years, where we're preparing for the next 10 years. It's the decade signing. It's the potential signing. It's the investment in youth. That's what Jadon Sancho brings. And that's what we should be focusing on. And I'm seeing all this crap about how there's a new report suggesting that Jadon Sancho's move is dead now. Manchester United are not willing to splash the cash. That is absolutely ridiculous. I would slap Ed Woodward in the face if I could. How dare you? This is the signing that we need for the next decade's history and the future of Manchester United. If you're not going to make that kind of signing, you should resign right now and grab hands with Bartomeu and go off into like Cayman Islands and chill out or something. Because what are you thinking? We need Jadon Sancho no matter what. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, I totally agree. We have to do everything we can to sign Jadon Sancho. It's something I've been saying for months now, at least the last year. It's been known widely that we want him. He's the perfect piece to our puzzle. He plays on the right. He's a young English talent. He's a generational talent. I might be called deluded for saying this, but I don't care. One day when Messi and Ronaldo retire, people are going to be saying, who are the best players in the world? And it's going to be Mbappe, Sancho, Neymar. It's going to be that next generation of world-class talent coming through.
Yeah.
Yes, Neymar's good. But yeah, we have to do everything we can to sign Jadon Sancho. It makes sense. He grew up around here when he was playing with Manchester City's academy. He's friends with Rashford, Angel Gomez. Like he needs to be signed. We need to do everything we can. And honestly, if he's the only person we sign this summer, I'm okay with that, because what Jadon Sancho brings to Manchester United is a complete level up of our starting 11, which is what we need. And like John said, if we're going to make that step to the next level, if we're going to play like we're a serious club and not just a club that wants top four or mediocre results, we're Manchester United. We should be challenging for the title every single season. And the only way we can do that is if we improve the squad. How do we improve the squad? We have to sign Jadon Sancho. We have to.
But let's be real here. As much as what we're all saying is pretty, and what we're all saying is the right thing to be saying, if we don't make this kind of signing, if we don't make this statement signing for the next decade in Jadon Sancho, it only just goes to show that the problems have not gone away, and that Manchester United are going to continue to rot under the hands of the Glazers, and it's going to continue to rot under this toxic, irresponsible leadership. And a brand as strong and resolute as Manchester United to decay in such a manner because of ridiculous ownership like the Glazers, because they're not willing to invest while they're leeching millions of pounds for their debt. just goes to show it'll be a doom and gloom scenario, and we really need to wash ourselves of that sin, if you will. We have to make this signing. I know we've been saying this back over and over again, sir, but we have to make this signing no matter what.
We have to.
Period.
Big time. Yeah, no, I love it, John. I love it. And they are like just a big shackle around our neck, unfortunately, because they do hold us back every single window. Like United is the biggest brand, or right up there, biggest brand in the world in terms of football. Right up there anyway. Should be the biggest brand. 10 years ago, yes, but under their leadership, we have seen the slow decline because, as you say, it's just a property for them. It's just a way to leech money out of a business, and they're businessmen at the end of the day. So it's just a nightmare to even have them as our owners. If you look at the other owners around the Premier League, of course there's some worse owners like Mike Ashley. Who wants Mike Ashley as their owner? But at the top end of the table, I think along with Arsenal, we've got the worst owners, because look, City are investing. They've got this Sheikh Mansour pumps millions into their side every single season. They're doing business early on. Chelsea, Roman Abramovich, we know how much he loves that little toy project he's got over there. He's pumped so much into it over the years. He's made them very successful by doing so, and he's not letting up, is he? It's looking like in this window that they're probably going to have the best window out of anybody at this stage. We'll see. United, on the other hand, again, we've got Ed Woodward sat around twiddling his thumbs, doing not very much at all, it seems. And I agree completely with the statements you guys have just made, that the owners are holding us back, and that what do we need to do? Just go out there and sign Jaden Sancho and another player or two. Give the fans something this season. Give Ole Gunnar Solskjaer something this season to work with. If the Glazers think that we're going to have some sort of miracle season next year based off the back of last season when City and Chelsea are going out there and strengthening and we're not, then they're off their tits, aren't they, to be fair? So I'm very disenchanted, more so than ever, I would say, with the ownership of this football club, because this is the truth of it. Even if they do spend this window, let's say they just go out there and sign 3 top players, spend 200 million. Even if they do that, it's not like they've really got the long-term future of this football club out on the pitch there at the heart of their best interests, I don't think. I think it's all a money-making commodity to them. That's how I view it, That's just my views on it. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they're the most passionate United fans you've ever seen, but I doubt it. Based on what they do in the window. Because like you were saying, John, like you were saying, Alex, just go out there and get him. We all know what we have to do to sign him. And Dortmund have a certain requirements. We've got to meet them somewhere in the middle. We've not been able to reach that agreement. I mean, we don't know the true ins and outs of it, but I imagine it's probably a reasonable amount of money, like £100 million or plus, somewhere that you should actually be paying for a player like Jaden Sancho in the current market. A player who's 20, who's banging in, 20 goals and assists in 20 games. And, he's worth a goal a game for Dortmund over there in the Bundesliga every single game. He's a commodity himself. So to get that commodity from Dortmund to United, you just have to spend the money, guys. And it's not like we're spending the money elsewhere. It's not like we haven't got somebody off of our wage bill this week that would free up a little bit of cash for the wage structure as well. So I don't understand why they are just sitting around not getting the deal done. And this is another annoying thing that really pees me off. It's like you've got the season starting on the 12th of September. United's first game's on the 19th. But do we not want to get some players in before this window drags on a little bit too long, to the point where you don't have time to, people have got to get properties, they've got to settle in, they've got, there's all these different things you have to think about when signing a player. So leaving it last minute, which it looks like if we are going to sign a player, that's the way it's going to be. It's a disgrace. It's a shambles for a club like Manchester United to operate this way.
Of course.
Yeah, I agree. It doesn't make any sense. And what's weird to me is over the years, I don't get why I understand that transfers aren't like FIFA or Football Manager, excuse me, and they're not as easy as, people and fans want them to be, where it's just you call a guy and you offer him money and that's it. I understand transfers are much more complicated than that. But what's always blown my mind over the years is how the fans can see it, but the owners can't. You know what I mean? Like how we're sitting here saying we need this player, and this player to build for our future. But it just always seems like the last 5 or 6 years post Fergie that the Glazers don't see that. Either they see it and they just ignore it, or they just don't get it. And I think that's what's most frustrating to me as a fan, is because I grew up my whole life Manchester United being a top club, and now watching them basically slowly burn down post Fergie before my eyes has been really hard. So I just don't get how we see it, but they don't.
Yeah, very good point, Alex. There, very good point. I mean, like you say, I think it's a lot to do with the fact that it is a business to them, and they're not true fans of the football club. So they don't see it like fans, unfortunately. Ed Woodward, he's certainly not a football man, really. It's not like he's a proper director of football with lots of football experience who's got the best interest of improving the football side out there. No, he's like he's an ex-banker, isn't he? We've got an expression in the UK, a merchant banker, and that is Cockney rhyming slang for, you guessed it, you know what it's Cockney rhyming slang for. But there's a reason for that's what I'm saying. But anyway, we need to do you guys think we need a DOF? I mean, I think it's, we're crying out for that man to show a little bit of proper leadership out there, because like we all just been saying, this window's terrible. It's an atrocious situation not to back the manager. It reminds me of Jose's final season that summer when they just didn't back him at all and didn't get the players that he needed. It's not going to be good for Ollie. It's not going to be good for the team if they don't do that. So it's a disgrace, guys. Yeah. Sorry, I lost my train of thought.
you were mentioning if we needed a director of football.
That's it. Yeah, director of football.
Do we need a director of football? Yes, I still think we do. I think as much as you see, look, we can be here speculating all we want as fans from out here, right? Maybe behind the scenes, we have no idea what's going on. However, knowing the Glazers and their ruthless, ridiculous management styles. I mean, they also own the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They own a bunch of other franchises here in the States. Knowing them, if Ed Woodward wasn't bringing in the cash, and if they thought Ed Woodward wasn't doing a good job, then they would have sacked him already. There's obviously something he's doing right. He might be tickling the balls underneath. There's something he's doing right that's getting him in the right sort of air with the Glazers. Wow. Now, does that mean that he's going to be here for the long term? Who knows? I personally think, look, I'm not going to try and drag this on too long, but I personally think that the reason why we're going to continue to see this for a long time, unfortunately, is because I think the way Glazers perceive how a sporting organization is run is gravely misinformed and incorrect, because the way sporting organizations are run, other than the United States, we're not run as franchises. American sports, for example, like you look at basketball, the Knicks have been an absolute ridiculous organization for years, right? But the fans are still Knicks fans because they think that, we'll get him next draft, right? We're going to sign a next superstar. We'll get him a next draft. They're always here, right? So it doesn't matter if they're succeeding for 10 years, 20 years. They don't care. They just need to succeed 1 year, and then they'll ride off of that. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how it operates. You don't work that way in football. You don't work that way across the world. You don't across anywhere, right? If Manchester United are a global entity, if we don't maintain that level of excellence, it's going to be destructive in the long term. And I don't know what the investors are telling them. I don't know what Ed Woodward is telling them. He might be drawing up pretty, PowerPoint presentations with lots of graphics and shit, but it's not going to work this way. And it needs to change. And the way we can do that, and the way we can contribute as fans, and by the way, Statman Dave has mentioned this in another episode of something else. I forgot where I watched it, but he's saying the way we can contribute is consistently to generate the noise and do whatever we can to get involved. Obviously, he gets involved by working for MUTV and doing all these things. He's obviously up there in terms of the way he's involved. But we as fans can continue to generate that noise on Twitter, social media. We're on social media 24/7. If what we can do is make one tweet and hashtag MUFC and tag Man United, it doesn't matter if they see it or not. If one of us does it, it's gonna inspire another person to do it, and then another person to do it, and then eventually we'll try and generate some sort of noise, because that's the only thing we can do behind the scenes. I mean, what are the Glazers doing? If we don't sign a director of football, we don't sign Jaden Sancho, we're only going to continue to bring ourselves down, and before they know it, in 5 years' time, their pockets are going to start drying out, and then they're like, "Oh shoot, we've milked this club dry." Okay, they're now not making us any money. Then time to move on. That's going to leave us feeling like we've just been milked. Ridiculous. We can't have that.
Yeah, I agree. I think we need a director of football. I don't know if this is true or not, but I read something just to kind of pivot towards the Champions League final, where Bayern's board of directors, from my understanding, is just a board of ex-legends that played for the club that make all of the decisions for Bayern Munich. And honestly, as a fan of football, that makes me incredibly jealous that Bayern Munich are a club run that way. I would give anything for United to be run by a board of just Paul Scholes, Ryan Giggs, David Beckham, making all these decisions saying we need to sign this guy and that guy. that would just be a dream come true for me as a fan and other fans. And it's frustrating when you see a club that's run so well like Bayern Munich, where everything they do is okay, but how is this going to benefit our first team, and how is it going to benefit the football? And I just don't think we think that way. And you can see it, in the other entities that the Glazers own, like John Shin said, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They've been, and John can agree with me, they've been an average as fuck team for like the last 15 years.
Exactly.
They're terrible. They're a terribly run organization. They've always been pretty average. I think they haven't been I don't think they've won a title since like the early 2000s. So it's just frustrating because me as an American fan, I've seen how the Glazers run a sports organization, and then I'm seeing evidence of that bleeding into United. And he's right. It's frustrating.
Guys, you guys are getting me fired up. To be honest, this is just hearing about this from that point of view. So basically, it's even worse than we thought. So they're just like circling vultures that are slowly picking away at United, and eventually they're going to leave us there as a rotting carcass. Yeah. That's basically what you're telling me, guys.
Yeah, and I agree with John. I think the Glazers will leave the moment they can no longer make money, and unfortunately, it'll be something really bad for us to put them in a situation where they can't make money. We're talking like relegation or something like that. It would have to be something super catastrophic.
Well,
I think for them to not make money.
Yeah, I think like John was saying, have your voice heard. And this is probably the time really to protest as much as you can about the Glazers' ownership of this football club. Now, whether or not we can find a potential suitor, whether or not they'd ride it out, the facts are the facts. If United fans stopped putting their hands in their pockets and stopped buying all the the merch, the tickets, and all the subscriptions and the MUTV and all this stuff, then they are going to get the message at some point. Now, I know there's commercial deals that Ed Woodward's fantastic at getting in for the club, which are generating massive amounts of cash. And I know that there's the TV deal every year, which is worth a huge amount of money to the football club. But still, if you had a big significant loss in match day revenue, post-pandemic, and also merchandise sales and all this stuff, then it becomes a less of a profitable business for them. Yet it's still a business that if a new owner came in and bought for big money and invested, it would immediately go bang straight up there again, because the United fan base is massive. So the sale price of the commodity doesn't lower that much, even though the merch sales, the generation from the cash from the fans falls off a lot more. So if you had that situation where the fans were very vocal, and also not just vocal, but actually showed it with their wallets, then you might eventually, in a couple of years' time, after a bit of a poor period at United, you might be able to turf the Glazers out in favour of somebody coming in, because there'd become a point in time when the profitability of United is just not as good as the potential sale value profit. So, that sounds, from a strategic standpoint, that sounds like the move to go. But however, if I may, with all due respect to fans out there, especially, there's so many fans telling me, John, if you're on all these platforms, tell them to boycott games, tell them to stop spending money. With all due respect, I think that's the wrong approach. And let me explain why. Manchester United are a global organization. I've mentioned that time and time and again. For the Glazers to be for us to find a suitable, making it sound like we have the option here, but for there to be a replacement for the Glazers would be an extremely difficult transaction for that to occur, right?
100%.
It'll be as difficult, if not more difficult, than the Messi transaction, right?
Yes.
The ownership from the Glazers to another leadership, unless they're like the Saudis who can shit out money left, like, unless for that to happen, that is going to happen, it's very, very unlikely, right? So from our perspective, what we're doing by boycotting games, not buying shirts, not buying merch, what we're doing is not hurting the Glazers. But what we're going to be doing, if we're going to push that agenda, is hurting the locals. And that's what I'm against. If you're not buying their shirts, if you're not buying food, if you're not going to the stadiums, then you're hurting the janitors, you're hurting the workers, you're hurting the staff that are in the stadium, you're hurting the local businesses around Manchester. And that's where we have a responsibility as fans. We're not Manchester United fans because we live in Manchester. We're Manchester United fans because we have a special connection to the club. And if there's what we can do, if there's something that we can do, is we have to protect the people around Manchester. They shouldn't be the ones suffering because Glazers are absolutely running the club dry. We have to find another way. And that's why I, just to sort of, align in conjunction with what I was saying before. And that's why I think we should probably work in the method of what Statman Dave was saying, is that we have to generate as much noise as possible, because at least that way we can make small changes, like a director of football. That is a small change. It's a small change, but it's a very important pivotal step forward, right? Us saying Glazers out, Glazeronomics, don't buy Adidas shirts, don't buy whatever, that's not going to affect the Glazers. You know, there's still going to be people across the world who there's people that are not even on Twitter, you know?
Yeah.
Most people in the UK are on Twitter. Most people in the US are on Twitter. We're going to hurt locals. We're going to hurt people who actually need jobs and money and need revenue and economy circulating around Manchester United. This is an organization that doesn't just fund the club. It funds the entire city. And we have much more impact than people realize. So we have to be very careful about saying don't go to the stadium, don't buy games, because that's going to hurt a lot of locals. So I don't think that's...
No, I respect what you're saying there, John. Yeah, I mean, me personally, I do take the view that that's a good way of protesting, but I completely understand what you're saying. Ultimately, it is going to have an effect on people locally around the football club. Absolutely. I mean, ideally, it would only be a short-term thing, but is that even going to be the main contributor to the Glazers wanting to sell United? From what you guys have said about these franchises in America, it's like even if there was a big drop-off in revenue from United for that reason, they've still got so many different revenue streams coming into the football club. So the incentive for them to sell, as long as it remains profitable, is not there, and it would still be a profitable football club, because if you think about some of the football clubs that everybody's got a massive amount of money every single season from the TV deals alone. The support of Manchester United is absolutely global. Even if 50% of the fan base stopped buying shirts and merch and all that sort of stuff, which I don't think is going to happen, then they'd still generate a lot of money. So yeah, I just don't. This is what's frustrating, guys. You're right, John. We're trapped between a rock and a hard place. What do we do? How do we can make noise? We can say, leave the football club, Glazers out, we want them gone, but they're just sat in their ivory tower over there in stateside. So it's not really, what effect is that going to have either? It's one of those, man. It's like we're screwed if we do, screwed if we don't.
The bottom line is this, and I'm just going to be real for a second. There's no way financially we can compete with the likes of City or PSG, because those teams financially are backed by governments. I mean, governments have trillions of dollars. There's no way that financially that United will be able to compete with that. And so the question then becomes, how do you compete with that? Well, and that's why I brought up Bayern Munich. Look at Bayern Munich. They just beat PSG in a Champions League final. Why? Because they have a club that's run well, where they made the right decisions. I saw graphics a few days after the Champions League final, and I'm sure you guys saw them too, of like, look at how much Bayern Munich spent on their team. And I think it was something like their starting 11 cost 100 million euro. Or something like that, which is unbelievable. That to me is evidence that they have a competent board that makes the right decisions and signs the right players. Now, we've seen evidence of that now with Ole's first transfer window, where we made the right signings. We signed Aaron Wan-Bissaka, we signed Harry Maguire, Dan James, Odion Igalo. Those were like pieces that we needed. Bruno Fernandes. Those are the right signings that I'm talking about. And if United want to be successful, in my opinion, going forward, we need to come to the consensus that we're not going to be able to compete financially with clubs like PSG or City. So the only way we can is to make the right decisions. And like we mentioned earlier, a signing like Jaden Sancho is a decision in the right direction.
Absolutely, yes. You're spot on there. I just want to read this comment here from Stefan Harrington, who says the FA sanctioned all these takeovers. So ultimately, that's it. I mean, the FA's got to hold responsibility for the Manchester United situation as well, because it shouldn't be allowed that situation could occur when somebody can buy a football club, an institution like Manchester United with borrowed money. Shouldn't really be allowed. So yeah, that's a good comment there from you, Stefan. Thank you very much. Thank you, Griffo Chaz. Says this has to be one of the best videos on this channel. That is awesome. Thank you very much for that, Griffo. Yeah, it's great to look. These two guys are so passionate about United. I'm passionate about United. We've all got our different thoughts and opinions on football and how this club should be run. That's what makes it such a great debate and a great talking point. We're all in agreement, though. I think it's fair to say we're all in agreement that the Glazers, they're just a negative. They're a negative for this football club, aren't they? Yeah.
And the thing is, I wouldn't have a problem with the Glazers owning United if they made the right football decisions, like Bayern, like clubs like Bayern. Yeah. If we had a director of football and we were just signing like players that made sense, and not chasing, these Neymars and Messis and doing all this stuff about the money first, I would have no problem with the Glazers owning United.
I love this, guys. I love this. It's so funny. Like we didn't even talk anything about this before the show. We just had a few topics. This has just turned into a massive Glazers out thing now. It's just what it's turned into. But no, you're absolutely right, Alex. It's a terribly run football club from the top down. In all honesty, Bayern Munich. There's lots of there's some football clubs within Britain. Of course, they're not huge football clubs. So I think I always forget one of the Welsh ones, Swansea or Cardiff. They're completely fan owned. So it's like. That would be absolutely fantastic to have that situation. That's the dream, but yeah, realistically, it's not going to happen because it is just such a moneymaker for the Glazers. Just lastly, guys, I realise we're getting on for time, but thank you to you both so much for joining us today. Shout out to your channels as well. North Texas Reds, Alex Rincon. Where can they find you, mate?
Yeah, you can find us on Facebook, North Texas Reds. We also have a website. We're a fan supporter group chapter in North Texas. We meet at the Holy Grail Pub in Dallas. So yeah, come
awesome.
See us.
The Holy Grail, I like it. Monty Python.
Yeah.
And John Shin, where can people find you on the internet land?
You can just find me on Twitter at Mr. John Shin. And I just want to take this opportunity to thank Mr. Fly Pig HD. For those of you guys that are watching, he helped me start my career, if you will, here on YouTube. We met years ago back in when the Moisey days. And
Yeah.
And I reached out to him, a kid in college, barely knew what the hell I was talking about. I was like, hey, Mr. Flying Pig HD, I like your videos. Can I come join you? And he helped me. So I just wanted to take this opportunity.
Oh, thank you very much for that, John. No, it's great to see you. Great to see you doing so well on here and giving your passionate thoughts about United all the time and other things as well. It's not just United that you do videos about on YouTube. So check out his channel, guys. And way back in the day there, John, probably 2013 now, was it?
Yeah, that's right.
Crikey, man. Yeah, no, literally, I've seen you grow from a boy into a man before my eyes. just lastly then, folks, I won't keep you too long, but just one topic I wanted to discuss, obviously, with you guys and get your takes on it. I covered it quite extensively on the channel yesterday, but Slabby Maguire being found guilty of 3 different counts over there in Greece. I mean, what's your take on it, guys? I saw something today. Maybe United will be sticking with him. It's speculation at this stage as captain. I mean, but what do you guys think? Do you think it's fishy? I'll put it back to you first, John, if you want to jump in on that one.
Sure. I'll keep it really simple. I think that the Harry Maguire situation has only just begun. I was just talking about this yesterday. From a court perspective, look, I'm not coming on here to sound like I'm going to be trashing the Greek government here, but the justice system and the way in that case proceeded was absolutely ridiculous. Yeah. I mean, when the defense team requests for the case to be adjourned, I mean, how in the world is it that the prosecution offers that kind of evidence and gives the defense team no time to process anything? So it's the right move for Harry Maguire to appeal it. We don't know Harry Maguire the person. We know Harry Maguire the player. So just purely based on the observations that we have as fans, I just don't think Harry Maguire would be that kind of person. Now, with that being said, there's always two sides to a coin. I don't know exactly what happened. Of course, according to the Greek justice system, he was found guilty. However, there's going to be an appeal process, and we're going to follow that. I personally think that we should continue to support Harry. What is he the captain or not? I don't think this is the right time for discussion. I think we can come to that conclusion when the appeal process has finally gone into effect, and then when there's a retrial, and then following that verdict, then we can go on from there, right?
Yeah, I mean, I would echo John's comments. I feel the same way. My personal opinion, though, is I don't think, and I'll probably get a lot of shit for this, but I don't care. I don't think that Harry Maguire should have even put himself in that situation to begin with. Why are you going out to a bar in the middle of a pandemic knowing that, shit's dangerous right now? That's just my opinion. It was really frustrating, actually, to see on the same day that he got arrested, seeing Bruno Fernandes just posting a picture of him and his family hanging out in the pool. I was sitting there thinking the whole time, like, that's what Maguire should be doing. Like, he shouldn't be out in a nightclub in Greece getting this drink on, But yeah, like John said, we don't know Harry Maguire, the person. I'm sure he's a great guy. I don't think he would have reacted the way that is alleged unless it was something serious, because, I mean, I played soccer. I played it my whole life. I've played with pro players that are now pro. footballers are usually mentally strong, so it is weird to see that he reacted that way. You would think that if it was what is alleged, where it was a bunch of like fans mocking him and yelling shit at him, you would think that he would be mentally strong enough to not react and not say anything or give them the time of day. But yeah, I don't know.
We don't kind of know, do we? Though, because that's the thing. Like John said, we don't actually sort of know what's happened. Like I've heard some accounts, like some Albanian gangster injected his sister with a date rape drug, and that's what's caused the whole issue. And the issue with the police was, this is what I'm hearing. The issue with the police was caused with them basically treating the situation not so seriously, and Maguire being like, "Look, can we call an ambulance for her?" And then just having no interest in doing that, and that's what's led to the confrontation between him and the police. That's what I've heard. So we don't know, like you were saying, John. We just don't know at this stage.
And that's the thing, is like there's two sides, and they're so contrasting, right? Harry Maguire's side is completely different from what these police officers are saying. I, of course, being a Manchester United fan and supporting Harry Maguire all the way. However, we shouldn't come to conclusions right away. I personally, I agree with Alex in the sense that Harry Maguire should have been a little bit more responsible. I actually made the same comment yesterday in my live stream, and I was like, Harry Maguire, I respect him and I want to protect him and back him, but he shouldn't have been in there in the first place. What the hell was he doing out in Mykonos, like chilling with his boys? Like, that's not the right move. However, somebody was like, "Oh, but John, he's still young, bro. Like he's not even married. He's never kids. He's got his fiance. He was out there with his fiance." And it's just, it doesn't matter. You're a world footballing icon. You're not a freaking legend, but you're still a popular star, right? You're making great money playing for one of the biggest clubs in the world. You have to be careful.
And you're the captain.
Yeah,
he's the captain of United. I mean,
Henry Winter, the journalist, the respected journalist, was also saying the same thing. He was like, "You should have a bodyguard with you. You should be doing something to protect yourself or not put yourself in situations like that." Totally, I agree with that wholeheartedly. I really hope and pray and really fingers crossed that Harry Maguire comes out of this, not guilty, and that he's vindicated and justice is served. But I also think he should take some responsibility here in saying that he shouldn't have been in there in the first place. I think this is one of those things.
Absolutely, John. Absolutely. Yeah, I think he's had a bit of perhaps a little bit of a raw deal. Like you said, we don't want to make any accusations, but I mean, they seem to fly it through pretty quick over there. And I, from what I understand as well, his lawyers didn't even get certain key documents until a couple of hours before the proceedings took place. So they just pushed it on through, which does sound a little bit strange to me. But like you say, it's not the end of it right now. I think we'll hear a lot more about this in the future. Just to give you my thoughts on it, guys, thank you everybody for watching, by the way. Smash that like button and get involved in the comment section for the last couple of minutes here. But to give you my thoughts on it, look, I'm going to absolutely stand by Harry Maguire here 100%. Not as captain though, so maybe I'm not standing by him depending on which way you look at it. But I want him to be our starting centre back and have a big role in that football club. But like you guys were saying, it's not the behaviour of a captain of Manchester United, like the day before the Europa League final that you should have been playing in, to go out there, straight away on a bender out to Mykonos and get bang on it and getting yourself in a poor situation. Now, is it his fault if somebody's attacked his sister or not? Absolutely not. We're not saying that. If he's defending his family over some atrocious behavior like that, I completely respect and back him 100%. But he shouldn't have been there in the first place. That's the key. Yeah. That's the key, guys. And that is not captain's behavior, unfortunately. That is a little bit of a silly boy's behavior. I might expect that from Jesse Lingard. Maybe I'm doing Jesse Lingard a little bit dirty there because he wasn't involved in this. But the point I'm making is it's not captain's behavior, in my opinion, fellas.
No, it's not. He should have been more responsible. I understand if it was a group of Albanian gangsters that attacked your sister, I would have reacted similarly. I'm sure you guys would have as well if someone attacked your sister. But no, I mean, yeah, that was my whole point is why are you there? Why aren't you at home like Bruno is chilling in a pool with his family?
Maybe if this was normal times, I'd say, yeah, dude, go do your thing.
Yeah,
have a bodyguard. But Alex, you're right. We're in the midst of a pandemic. Just the fact that he's out in Mykonos at a club, at a bar, like drinking and mingling with all these people, it's a little suspect. So I don't knock on your statement that Harry should be stripped of the captaincy. I wouldn't knock on it either. Maybe Ole Gunnar Solskjaer can come out and be like, "That's irresponsible. You're the captain of Manchester United. What the hell are you doing?" However, I'll give you the opportunity to work. Win our hearts back. That would be nice. That would be nice.
Absolutely, yeah. I think Harry Maguire's got a little bit of work to win over the fan work to do to win over the fan base again now. But we, like you say, we don't know the true ins and outs of it. But United captaincy doesn't really. Yeah, I'm not feeling it for Slabby Maguire anymore. But lots of love to him because he seems like a nice guy. That's what's so weird about it. Like it's so out of character. Like I'd have never thought that he would have been out in that situation. And what I find strange about it, like you've been mentioning about the bodyguards and stuff like that, how is he even, this is Harry Maguire, he's £80 million footballer, he's on a couple of £100,000 a week. Like, why is he going out to some dive bar in Mykonos, like where there's a bunch of Albanian gangsters to begin with? Like, why don't you go to an up marketplace? Why don't you rent a private island, Harry, or something? Why don't you do it right? There's a pandemic on there. It's not a good example to set to all the millions of fans around the world, all the young people out there who were being told, look, wear the mask, keep social distance. He's out there getting pissed up in Mykonos, and he's the captain of Manchester United. You know, madness, guys. We've got a comment here from FVCKHT who comments Bruno for the captaincy. So thinks Bruno Fernandes should be the captain of United. Just lastly, we'll leave it on that. Guys, do you think we should stick with Harry Maguire as captain, or would you give it to Bruno or another player? I'll hand that over to you, Alex, first, mate.
I'm not sure. I've been thinking about this for the last 2 days. Part of me says that we should take it away and give it to someone else. And part of me says what you just mentioned earlier, which is we don't really know all the ins and outs, and let's give him an opportunity to redeem himself as, a captain and as a leader in this team. I still think that Harry Maguire is a good player. I know that's not really a popular opinion right now. I think he's been our best defender besides Aaron Wan-Bissaka this season. I thought he was really good this season. I think he's been a really fantastic leader and a good captain. It's just disappointing to see that he even put himself in a situation like this to begin with, being a captain for one of the top clubs in the world. It's just, I don't know. The answer is I don't know, Pig. Maybe it might just be a touch and go thing, like John said. We need to wait and see how this legal battle plays out before we make a decision.
Yeah, I mean, Solskjaer's got to, of course, speak with the player. And at this moment, I saw a statement from Manchester United. Harry Maguire's completely denying any wrongdoing. So let's just see what happens right now. It may turn out that there is a case for corruption and all this sort of stuff. And maybe it's a way of extorting money out of a professional footballer who just happens to be partying on your little island, So we'll see what happens. I'm not making any accusations there. I'm just simply saying we'll see what happens with that one. But so, yeah, not too sure about that one then. Alex, you'll play it by here. John, would you strip Harry of the captaincy or 100% stick by him?
Well, again, all of these are allegations, like we mentioned. Just want to get that out there again for the interwebs, so they don't come after us. But basically, there's two scenarios here, right? First scenario, Harry Maguire is found not guilty, right? If he's not found not guilty, then I wouldn't strip him of the captaincy regardless, because I think he still deserves an opportunity at sort of making amends, right? And this is a good learning curve. And then what I would do as Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is come out into the press and be like, look, we had a full discussion with the team. We put Harry Maguire in the middle. We had him speak his part, and we decided to give him another chance. This is not the right thing that he should have done as Manchester United captain. However, we want to give him the opportunity to make amends. So we're going to give him one more chance as captain of Manchester United. And we need to make sure he understands the weight and the stature and the responsibility that comes with not just being captain of Manchester United, but also being an England international and captain of that, right? That's scenario one. Scenario two is, let's say he's found guilty. I would strip him of the captaincy, but I would also come out as Ole Gunnar Solskjaer into the press and say that we decided it best to take off the captaincy, and I'll give him space to learn. My book isn't closed. He can continue to earn his respect and win the trust and heart of all the supporters around the world, and then we'll revisit this next season. And then I'll pass the captaincy armband to maybe, I don't know, De Gea or I don't know, freaking hell, Rashford, maybe Pogba even. I don't really think, I don't want to go too deep into this, but as much as I love Bruno Fernandes and I think he is a leader, there are certain kind of characters that you give the band to and you don't give the band to. He's kind of like an Andrew Herrera. He's like in your face and he's telling you exactly what's wrong, what to do. He's like pushing Mkhitaryan onto the board. He's like, yo, you got to go be here. That's not the kind of guy that you want as an armband. But that's a day for another discussion. I love Bruno Fernandes, but I'd rather him see him in a more of a vice captain role than a captain role. But anyways, those are the two scenarios that I'd go for.
Yeah, I mean, I can live with Harry Maguire staying captain, to be honest, depending on what happens and what comes out. I mean, like in terms of actually being guilty, though, like he's actually been found guilty in a court of law, right? So it's no longer an allegation; it's an actual. He's been found guilty. So
Sure.
that is what is so bad about this situation. That's, I guess, why Gareth Southgate pulled him from the England squad, because he selected him, didn't he, and sort of backed him. But then when he was actually found guilty by the court of law in Greece, he's withdrawn him from the squad. So that's the real stumbling block here, I think, is the fact that he's actually guilty of 3 different crimes, including one of them bribing an official, assaulting police. So. But I understand what you're saying, though, John. It's almost like what comes now is really, because obviously we're going to appeal. Harry Maguire United, they're going to appeal against this.
Sorry, Joe. Let me explain
jump in there, mate.
really quick. Let me just explain.
Go for it.
Here. 2 things. This prosecution team, when they came out of that court hearing and the Sky Sports reporter interviewed him, he was just like, "Well, what made you come to this conclusion?" One of his points was like, he said he didn't even apologize. Harry Maguire didn't apologize. That's why we went full steam with this. I mean, first of all, you don't say that in a court, right? I'm obviously butchering and paraphrasing, but he said something along those lines, like he should have apologized, right?
Right.
Secondly, with all due respect to Mykonos and with all due respect to the Greek government, there's a town here in New York, upstate New York. It's called Warwick, right? It's a very small town upstate. You drive upstate, lots of state police there, right? And they pull you over. They give you fat tickets. I'm talking fat, right? I'm talking $200 for speeding maybe 10 miles an hour, right?
Right.
Mind you, there's motherfuckers out there driving like 25 miles per hour over the thing, right? What they do, though, is they give you this ticket, right? They say, yo, you drove 20 miles over the speed limit. You're going to get $200 fine, right? You're going to get 5 points on your insurance. You're screwed, right? But if you appeal the verdict, if they notice that you're out of town, they make you come back into the town of Warwick, which is from New York City. It's about a 2.5-hour drive. They make you come back up there, and then you'll be like, hey, look, I was actually going whatever 20 miles per hour, but the street was empty. You say some bullshit, right? And then they'll say, oh, look, great. All right, we'll give you we'll let you go. And they change your 20 mile per hour zone fine to a parking violation, right? So it's a $200 fine with freaking 5 points on your insurance, and they change that to a $45 parking ticket, right? And they tell you, have a good day, go spend some food, go buy some lunch at Warwick, in the town of Warwick, have a lovely day, and then go back home. That's the vibe I'm getting. Like you mentioned, Joe, right? They want you to come. They know that it's a footballer. They're milking it, right? They're drying out his cash. They're trying to see whatever they can get. That's the vibe I'm getting, allegedly, right? That's the vibe I'm getting, right? The appeal process is obviously going to bring more attention to Mykonos. It's going to bring more attention to the institution that's like, officiating this shit. So that's the vibe I'm getting. Of course, I'm not saying that they're all freaking con artists and that they're, doing all this crap, but I'm getting a very, very weird, fishy vibe about all of this. It just doesn't feel right here, right? And I work in the legal system. I understand what this is, right? Yeah. I'm not saying that they're wrong or right. It just doesn't feel right, right? Something here just doesn't feel right. So I'm very hesitant to say Harry Maguire is wrong, Harry Maguire is right. I just want to follow this a little bit more carefully.
Yes, very, very good point, John. Very, very good point. Right, okay then. Well, I think we're approaching an hour now, guys. I don't want to keep you guys too long, but once again, thank you so much to John Shin and Alex Rincon for joining us. You can check out Alex Rincon if you just search North Texas Reds, North Texan or North Texas.
Texas.
North Texas Reds on Facebook, and Mr. John Shin, you can find him Mr. John Shin on Twitter or just John Shin on YouTube as well. It'd be great to do this again with you guys soon. Thank you so much for all your great opinions and great chat. Everybody who's watched this video as well, thank you very much for watching. There's over 100 of you legends tuned in right now, so smash that like button, get involved with your comments after this video is finished as well about anything that we've discussed in this video. It seems a long time ago that we were talking about Lionel Messi, but have a chat about that in the comment section afterwards. Let us know your thoughts on Harry Maguire, the Glazers' ownership of this football club, or anything else that we have discussed in this video. Once again, thank you to you guys. Thanks so much for watching out there. And any final words just from you legends at the end before we wrap up?
Sign some players.
Awesome.
I just wanted to say thank you guys in the comment section. I was looking at all the comments. You guys are awesome. And look, some people are disagreeing with us, some people were agreeing with us, and that's what makes us so amazing. A platform like Mr. Flying Pig HD's channel bringing us out here to just to have a conversation. And I love this. This was awesome. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it'd be great to have you guys on very soon. Have a great day, everyone. Thanks for watching. This is the Pig. We're out. Take it easy. Come on, United.